Do we need to say a prayer before you guys start?
Just no.
All right, 3.
Just a Hail Mary. What's up, guys? Episode 130. 130. And because it is episode 130 and we've made it all this way, we're going to celebrate.
Is that what we're doing?
We just want to say thank you for joining us.
Also, we're right on the verge of 500 subs.
500 subs.
We're close.
Dang.
So, share this video. Help us get there.
Please. We want to get there. So here's what we're going to do. I don't know if you've ever been to Buffalo Wild Wings, and if your dad's like, oh, you want a free t-shirt? You know, do the Blazin challenge. I'm like, no, shut up, Dad. Well, Dad, I'm doing the Blazin challenge. So what we're going to be doing, just so that we don't suffer as much, we're going to do 6 wings instead of 12. But we have to eat 6 wings in 3 minutes.
Because the normal challenge is 12.
Yes.
6.
Yes.
So we just cut it all in half.
So we just cut it all in half for the sake of our nostrils and our throats. So the Blazin' Challenge, I don't know if you know about this, but it's the ghost pepper wing sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought it was just called Blazin' sauce.
So it's called Blazin' sauce,
That's what
but
it is.
it's
We
ghost
also had ghost pepper, like, what was that, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. Secret sauce stuff. Michael is going to be setting a 3-minute timer, and we're going to die. But while we eat, we have to talk about the normal debate: Donda versus Certified Lover Boy. So,
I have strong.
we will discuss as we eat wings. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
No ranch.
No ranch.
Don't touch your eyes.
Good call. Yeah.
Hey!
Oh my
What is
word.
up?
That was
Welcome.
so loud.
This week, we are continuing our new series called Armor of God. We are now in week 2, and since it's week 2, I think we're just going to talk about 2 of them, right?
2 of them. We are. Because there's 6 total.
6 total.
But we're only doing 4 weeks.
4
so we're
weeks.
going to double up. In case you missed last week, we're going to read our theme verse where we get this idea of the armor of God from. And it comes from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 13 through 17. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So last week we talked about the belt of truth and how the belt was more of like a utility belt and all the other pieces of armor connected to it. And this talks about how the belt in our spiritual armor is truth.
Right.
Truth is kind of what connects everything else together. That we need to know really what the truth is and what the truth isn't in order for us to really be able to put on the rest of the armor. And so the next 2 in order are the breastplate of righteousness, and this one's kind of a long phrase, the shoes of readiness that come from the gospel of peace. Some people call those the shoes of peace. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about the breastplate of righteousness. Okay, this is like, I don't know about you, but when I think of armor, this is one of the first pieces I think of. It's like the big chest plate that like covers all the vital organs.
Right.
So it's a pretty important piece because really kind of in this area right here, you've got, majority of all your really vital organs. Other than like your brain. Pretty much everything else is housed right in here. So that is a really important part of your body. So it's a really important piece of armor. And I think it's interesting that that connects with righteousness when it comes to our spiritual armor. Righteousness is not a word maybe we use all the time in our regular everyday lives. So I looked it up, and righteousness is defined as acting in accordance with divine law, which basically is saying following God's guideline for life, which is a lot of what we talked about in our last series, Habits of Holiness, that God created us, knows everything about us, and therefore He probably knows the best way for us to live. Things we should do, things we shouldn't do. And when we live in accordance with the plan that He's laid out, that is called righteousness. Like when somebody wrongs you and you choose to forgive them, which is what the Bible tells us to do, that is righteousness.
All right, ready?
I
Let's have a runny nose. This is about to get disgusting.
I didn't take my allergy medicine this morning.
Do we need to say a prayer before you guys start? And then...
Just no.
All right, 3,
Just a Hail Mary.
2, 1, go.
Go!
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, Donda is awful.
Certified lover boy? More like certified mid boy.
What?
The album is so bad.
The
Literally.
entire first song. Oh my gosh, it's hot. The entire first song on Donda is just the word Donda over and over and over again.
And it's better than anything on CLB.
I think it's interesting that the breastplate, the area that connects or protects all of our really important vital organs, is connected to following the plan that God has laid out for our life. And it reiterates kind of our entire point of our last series, was that God didn't give us these guidelines that we see in the Bible, which is not all the Bible is, but there are definitely guidelines in there. He didn't give us rules to just give us rules. He really is trying to protect us from things he knows is going to hurt us.
Right.
So when we read the Bible and see like, hey, when somebody wrongs you, forgive them. Don't lie, don't cheat people, don't, whatever. It's not to give rules, it's not to ruin fun. It is really to protect us. So maybe thinking about the breastplate of righteousness when we're choosing what we should do, what we shouldn't do, can help us make the right choice in that moment, because remembering that this is really just to protect me could be helpful. What?
By the way, they're not drinking milk, they're drinking water.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was not a bad chicken wing.
Right.
He has to go fast, because the longer you sit with it, the worse it gets.
Oh, look at that.
Oh!
Right now, that's just a piece of oil.
It's so hot.
Oh!
It's so hot. My eyes are watering, I can't control it. 2 minutes left?
Yep.
Oh.
Come on, let's go, let's go.
Why am I making the worst noise?
You also microwave them too long, so they're actually like physically hot.
Uh-huh.
Minute 45.
Oh my god! Oh boy!
I want to see clean bones, clean bones.
Ew! Oh! Oh, it's so bad!
Minute 30.
Okay, it's clean.
Alright, move on, move on.
Oh!
Come on, you're gonna have to finish 3 wings in a minute. Let's go.
Psalm 106:3 says, "How blessed are those who keep justice, who practice righteousness at all times." Just remember that. When we choose to follow the way that God has laid out for us, it actually is, one, going to protect us, but it also says that we get blessed because of it. And then, the second one, the shoes of peace. And this kind of reminds me more of the belt of truth. Like, belts, I don't think of armor. When we're talking about armor, I don't think of belts. I also don't think of shoes. And back in the day, these shoes actually would have been sandals. And sandals are not super protective. Let's look at the way this is worded. The shoes fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. So I looked this up and I started to research a little bit. What does this have to do with anything? Because what do sandals have to do with armor? What is that phrase, fitted with readiness, that comes from the gospel of peace? So first and foremost, the one thing we need to learn is that the shoes or the sandals that soldiers wore back in the day were not sandals like flip-flops
Or Crocs.
Definitely not Crocs. But they were actually, first and foremost, they were sandals, but they had big leather straps, and the straps often wrapped around their legs and went all the way up to here. So they were fitted very tightly. And also, they were more like modern day cleats. Like, they usually had some kind of spiking or spikes, because it would help them have grip in dirt and sand and whatever terrain they found themselves on. And so, keeping that in mind, the shoes that are fitted with readiness, when you have a sandal like that, it's strapped up, it's ready to go, it's got traction, it's whatever, and that comes from the gospel of peace. It gives me this picture that really the gospel should be the foundation that we stand on and that gives us traction to walk through any situation in our life and have peace because of it. John 16:33 says, I have said these things to you. This is Jesus talking. I have said these things to you that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. This is Jesus saying that, hey, you're going to have tough situations. Yeah. But I have taught you all these things, left you these teachings in the Bible. I have told you these things so that you may have peace going through them. And so if we keep that in mind, the picture of like a cleat or like a boot that's laced up tightly and ready to go and ready to run or ready to climb or whatever helps you in your mind, and we get that from understanding that the gospel and the message of the gospel and the message that Jesus gave us is to give us peace, and that peace allows us to have traction and walk through any situation that we may find ourselves in.
Oh my God.
Oh, all right.
Minute left.
I'm uncomfortable.
I literally can't talk.
So we've settled it. Donda sucks.
No, these wings are as fire as Donda.
No, Imagine Dragons album was pretty darn good.
Okay.
Michael!
35 seconds. Let's go. I want to see those wings done.
I can't.
It's actually like too hot to eat.
I can't.
Come on, Hunter. One more. Let's go.
I can't. I legit cannot.
You know our mouths are gonna be on fire for like the next hour.
Ugh.
10.
Ugh.
Oh, it's too hot. It burned my mouth.
I can't do this.
5.
I legit cannot.
Come on, Pastor.
End it.
One more.
End
I
it.
can't do it.
End it.
That's
End it.
That's
done.
fine.
Oh, like my whole around my mouth.
Don't touch your face.
So who won the free t-shirt? So, Pastor Jesse has eaten 5, and I ate 3.
It's like 4 3/4. It just hurts. It's just pain.
You know what else is painful? Listening to Certified Lover Boy.
Oh my God.
When we're talking about these 2 pieces of armor, I think what is most important about these and to know is that when we go into the world and when we're facing trials and tribulations, Jesus said, take heart, I have overcome the world. If we put on the breastplate of righteousness, we put on the shoes of peace, we can stand firm in every situation of our life and in every single circumstance, because we know that when we put on the armor of God, we are protected and we are standing firm in different situations.
There's 2 quick takeaways from these pieces of armor.
Yeah.
The breastplate of righteousness protects us. Following God's guidelines for life protects us from getting hurt.
Yes.
And number 2, because of the gospel and the peace it brings, we can confidently walk through any situation.
Apparently we did the same thing where I just held my mouth under the faucet and just let it drain. And it felt good.
My mouth is bleeding. We thank you for watching this week's episode 130.
But yeah, I don't know what to do now. I have mouthwash, but I also feel like that might make it a lot worse.
We'll see you next week.